Hi everybody, this is Antonella, and I'm glad to be with you today. I wanted to go over the next step of the empowerment, and I'd like to know how it's been going for you guys. Hopefully there has been some shifts in the way you see things, because the reality is our perception is our reality. And so if you see things a certain way and that is your point of reference, then you're going to assume everything is that way. So for example, if you believe, deep down you believe that things are not how they seem, or people are unreliable and you can't trust them, then every interaction is going to have that in the background. And you may not realize it, but it will. So it's really important to know where you're coming from, because it will affect your interactions and how you see people. And so last time I asked you to write down the things that make you happy. And I'm hoping when you did that, you paid attention to what was happening inside you when you wrote that down. This week, it's even more simple. What I'd like you to do is give yourself permission to be whoever it is you want to be. And with that, I'd also like you to think of someone who you admire. And it could be, an actor. It could be someone in your personal life. Think of someone you admire and the traits that they show. And think about what it would take for you to exhibit those traits. And you may already have them, but it's important to be very clear about what it is you want to manifest, what it is you want to become, or even how you want to polish the diamond that is you into that higher 2.0 version of you. So that would be really important, because we have a lot going on, and sometimes so our primary need would be, hey, I want to do this thing, right? But then we have our secondary need that is underneath and is unconscious, and it may say something like, well, who do you think you are? Or the world, I can't trust the world, so if I put myself out there, I'm just going to set myself up for failure. Now consciously, you may not be aware of that, but unconsciously, that's what's happening. So it's really important to give yourself permission to be whoever it is you are, and also to pay attention to what's happening inside you, because that will give you an indicator. So for example, if I admire someone who's outspoken and an advocate, and so I want to aspire to be like that person. However, when I think of that person or doing that for myself, fear comes up in my stomach. Well then, maybe I need to bring that out and evaluate that and think, okay, what is this thing? Why am I scared? What's this about? And it would be ideal if you have someone you can bounce this stuff off of, a therapist, some kind of religious person, perhaps a spiritual person, a yoga teacher, whoever. Because sometimes we need a different perspective than our own, right? Because like I said, we all have our point of reference. So it'd be important to pull that out and say, well, what is this? Let me look at this thing and write it down on paper. In society, we are taught nothing should be uncomfortable, and none of us want to feel uncomfortable. But the reality is, if we don't evaluate what that is or where that's coming from, we're never going to get to the next step. So you can say, I want to be an advocate, but if that fear is holding you back, you will never achieve that goal, which would be unfortunate, because if that is what you want to be, then that is what you should be. So this week, I want you to just focus on someone you admire or some traits you admire in someone and what it would take to achieve that, and then pay attention to what's happening inside you, and that'll be an indicator of what might be some blocks, because we have the primary conscious needs and then we have that secondary unconscious needs, and they are both very much involved in how we move forward. And as we move forward, I'm going to start talking more about the unconscious stuff first, because in a lot of ways, that is actually what's leading. So, for example, you might always say yes. You know, people ask you for favors and you might always say yes. And then you say to yourself, well, why did I do that? Why did I say yes when I really mean no? Why do I do that? And you really don't know why. Well, as you start to explore and go down deep, you will start realizing there's a lot going on, and maybe you need to feel appreciated. Maybe you need to feel needed. Maybe you need to feel wanted. Maybe there's a part of you that feels that if you don't offer help or fulfill a need for someone else, then you won't have value in their life. And that is huge, right? So it's important that you know these things. But we're going to do it slow and as painless as possible. But do know that there is always a level of discomfort when we stretch. And the name of the game is stretching, little by little. So I hope that you follow that. I'd love to hear from